We have a lot of people to thank for their belief in us, most especially today with Adidas, to thank them so much for their ability to take a big brand that's known around the world and to tell the women's stories. So we can't thank Adidas enough for this and to support our organization and to believe in the sport, believe in the activity, and believe in women too. So that's really all. I could go on all day. But should we do some questions? Yeah, and then we can do some pictures and autographs or whatever. So let me just say also it's wonderful to be in Berlin. I'd like to thank our special 261 people from Germany. You guys are doing such a great job in helping the women here, moving the cause along. Thank you very much for having me here today and for your hospitality here in Berlin. It's been great. So thank you very much. Thank you. Does anybody have a question? Yes?
When is your next marathon?
Well, it was going to be tomorrow.
Okay.
It was going to be tomorrow. And it will be tomorrow. I'm going to pin on the bib. I'm going to run a few kilometers.
Okay.
But I'm slightly injured. I fell in training in March and then again in April after the London Marathon. And I hurt my hip and I twisted my back. So I've lost too much training time to run it. I've had a great year. I ran the Boston Marathon in 17 in April for the 50th anniversary. Some of these women here ran with me. It was an amazing thing to be the first woman who ever ran a marathon 50 years after she first did. Yeah. But it wasn't because of me. It was because how few women ran 50 years ago. Many, many women, you all, may run your marathon in 50 years too. I hope so. But I felt so great after that race, I decided to run New York. Yeah. And I won the New York Marathon, New York City Marathon 43 years ago. But I had never run through the streets. I had run, my victory was when it was in Central Park. And then I began doing television commentary. So I had been on the back of a motorcycle for 28 years, but I had never run through the street. So that was a wonderful experience to run in. And then the feeling really good after New York, I decided I'd run the London Marathon. And that was important because London was celebrating 100th anniversary of women getting the right to vote. And I wanted to remind them that the Avon Marathon for women in 1980 was organized on the streets of London before the London Marathon was created, and that was the race that got the women's marathon into the Olympic Games. So it was very important to be, for me to run London last year too. So 3 marathons in 12 months is enough for anybody. So maybe my sore hip is because God's saying, you know what, slow down. Yes?
So what's your best memory of running a marathon?
What was my best memory of running a marathon?
Yeah, best.
The best, not the most vivid one. The best. You know, I mean, the most vivid one, of course, was 1967, being attacked in the race. And that was probably the most important one in terms of changing my life and changing all of our lives. Okay. But my best, my most amazing one was last April. Coming across the finish line 50 years later, it was the happiest day of my life. It really was. Everything came together. I had a wonderful team with me. My husband was on the finish line. We had a big kiss. And the world media was really there. I mean, we had 70 million media impressions from that run. Huge, huge. And what was great was my feeling was we created this revolution on the streets of Boston. And now we've crossed the finish line 50 years later. I felt like I could pass the torch, you know, to Edith and to 261 Fearless to take the next 50 years ahead. And if we've made this much change in 50 years, what's the next 50 years going to look like? I mean, it's really exciting. I mean, now there are more women runners in North America, in the United States and Canada than men. I think there are more women runners in Japan and maybe even France than men. So this explosion is happening everywhere. And again, it's about women's empowerment. So It's a very, very powerful movement. And you guys are going to do it, okay? I'm passing you each the torch. So that was my best.
Did you have the same feeling as all the runners when you finished that? Oh, I will not run again. When you finish a marathon, do you have the feeling like, I'm not going to run again?
Oh, no, no. No. When I finish a marathon, I say, I can't wait to do it again. Yeah, unless it's a very bad experience. Yeah. It was very, very hot in London. It was the hottest day on record for that time of the year. But I still felt amazing, when to finish it. Each one is like a new lifetime. So.